So eventually, as you probably could figure out so far, I have repeatedly named it that my ultimate goal was to come up with some callbacks, JS functions which allow me to access the data I was looking for. Let us look a bit closer to how the class of this JSModem device looks like. So here is a constructor. I obtain as a first argument the PC itself, and I aggregate it, and here I aggregate back modem into the PC, and here I create a serial device, and it's hooked on second port. And this part is responsible for communicating with WebSocket traffic. So what we are interested in is actually the UART part. So what's happening here is you see all these registries. The part of the serial driver that was developed by Fabrice, it was a bit more shorter because it was used to communicate. It is used to communicate with the terminal part. With the terminal part is the big this big visual window. One can type some symbols and on the keyboard, and it will be the symbols will be these characters will be transported back and forth as a teletype, sort of teletype device. Another archaic part of it. Well, and here you see these functions that are registered to work with input-output ports emulation. Eventually, an important part was I stuck up by debugging, is actually to handle the data mode properly. Okay, I will go back to the talk. So at this state of the project, everything is pretty much functional. It was tested by a few guys, pretty much positive feedback. I have no idea whether JSModem and JSLinux itself are used in any kind of productive environment to allow some practical commercial solutions. I'm unaware of this. But anyway, small to-do for the project itself. I'm planning to arrange a proper emulation, full-scale emulation for most of the standard AT commands in command mode for the modem. And quite a nice to have feature would be dialing out a procedure, so that if one is typing ATDT, so that one can probably come up with multiple modem devices communicating to different servers. And the last but not the least is actually performance testing and looking for identifying some technical issues that I'm currently unaware of. Now, I really like to talk about this speculational part of my talk. I really like to talk about possible application of JSLinux. After contacting Fabrice and getting a reply from him with concern to a few questions I asked him, he was quite Well, I would say he didn't really go into much speculation about the project, about its applications. And he was very in his prognosis. So, obvious thing would be to come up with some sort of tutorials. Nice thing by JSLinux and by Buildroot project is actually that you can easily, already on the software that is written by Ballard, compile an embedded Linux that will provide you in a JavaScript environment interpreters for other languages like PHP, like Python, like Lisp, Haskell, you name it. It's really rich, and it is not so complicated to do. So probably one will definitely have a lot of an access to a lot of interpreters in other languages, which could end up in some interactive read and evolve loops. And well, gaming, of course. Well, JSLinux is not the first one emulator. It is the first one of x86 architecture, but there were some emulators before which were concentrating on much more simpler processes, and well, probably it's not a big deal, but normally in old days gaming was always taken, in old days of Unix, gaming was always taken seriously. Well, legacy software, this point is also of great practical importance. Basically, this whole point that are shared as a sphere of application for JSLinux by Fabrice himself. And of course, all this will be much more interactive and vivid experience if video card emulation, video card device would be emulated and will be available. A second part is kind of questionable. It's application in the sense of that we have a lot of algorithmic software which does cryptography, which does compression, which does a lot of useful things and tested things that is already well done and performed in C, in C++, in more low level. But such a solution, such an approach could be quite comparable to this tech. It's also available for something like almost a year right now. It's a stack of low-level virtual machine bytecode plus this nice project EM scripting. It actually already provides the possibility to run Python in the web browser. It's a kind of different approach. Technically seeing it, there are some difficulties. First one, you have to compile to obtain this low-level bytecode. A second one is actually you have to translate it using this project MS scripting into JavaScript and to optimize it with some other standard optimizers. But on each of these steps, there are some technical difficulties to be faced, and most likely this is not so easy-going solution as to come up with embedded version of JSLinux where you have the same piece of code which is compiled on a root file system. Yes, and quite normal and spectacular application. It's JSLinux. It's true. It's very cool as a project, as something which you can start in your browser and watch.